This is Star Wars Bounty Hunter. We're here on PlayStation 5. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is the return of a classic Star Wars game, which has been remastered and improved in a few different ways for the modern hardware. So now this shouldn't be confused with the previously existing version of this game. So for a while through the, I guess you would say PS4 and then available like playable on PS5, there was like an emulated PS2 version of this game available. This is a brand new remastered offering, which improves the visuals, the fluidity, and some quality of life improvements, including playing your assistant's voice through your controller, which is an interesting designed way to go for whatever reason. So what are we getting here? It's a 4K resolution, 60 FPS, it's smooth, it looks visually fantastic, and you get to enjoy this classic bounty hunter as Jango Fett battles against various creatures on the path to find out where this, I guess, deranged Jedi, this deranged Dark user Jedi, is hiding and or is at, and you're basically tasked as a bounty hunter to go and do your job and hunt this thing down. So it's a third-person adventure game, pretty linear in design, where you're stepping into the shoes of Jango Fett, and you are the prime clone of the Grand Army of the Republic. Or, well, I guess not yet, because this story takes place before, well, I guess you could be technically, depends on where in the lore this all fits it. But this is set before the events of Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. And, yeah, you're hired to take this bounty hunter trophy task down, where you go and deal with this, like I said, deranged Dark Jedi, and that's kind of your goal here. So you're armed with a variety of, well, I guess you would say, abilities that the bounty hunter would have. I'm assuming they were basically like, well, you know, Boba Fett's really cool, everybody loves Boba Fett. We got Jango Fett coming out, you know, he's going to be a big thing. They're like, let's make a game based on this character. Like, I don't think you could really get away with doing such a specific niche character-driven story in the modern gaming era, but, you know, back in the day, you could. And I gotta say, like, the armor looks so clean, the textures look awesome, it runs really smoothly. It's kind of spectacular in terms of a upgrade in enhancing that original experience and allowing new generation to enjoy what this has to offer. So you fight your way through the underbelly of the galaxy, equipped with your dual blasters, a flamethrower, a whipcord, and some other tools, alongside a bit of that Mandalorian Rage. Well, you know how it goes. So, yeah, you get to do elements of, like, platforming, and I guess a little bit, I don't know if you'd call it really parkour, but oh, come on. I do that every time. Every time I do that. That's so funny. So you move through the environment, and you battle enemies. As I said, it's pretty linear. Like, some of the areas you do get to, like, have a little bit more freedom, especially when you get your jetpack and stuff like that, and become more of the feared bounty hunter that you're meant to be, which is kind of interesting to see. And yeah, that's kind of the main focus of this one. You get some cool tools, you get some cool abilities, you get to be, a powerful bounty hunter, which can be fun. You get to free aim or use auto aim. It's got some dynamic combat in terms of, like, your enemies kind of dying, going, "Wah!" Yeah, it's actually pretty well put together. If you're, well, I guess you would say not familiar with this particular game. And as I said, it's a bit of a classic Star Wars game. Like, we got so many unique games when I was younger in regards to, like, Star Wars titles. And then there was a certain point where they just kind of, like, stopped doing lots of Star Wars games because of that, it was like the EA agreement and Disney stuff and Disney buying them and things. And luckily, most of the stuff is now all owned, like, in-house, these older games, so it's a lot easier for them to farm out the remasterings and release all these games, because you don't have to contend with, like, music licensing problems or anything like that, or likenesses. Star Wars was pretty airtight in terms of, like, licensing and ownership and all that. Lucasfilm, LucasArts, they did a very good job protecting their, like, IP and stuff like that, and I guess from a perspective of being like a third party making these games, it probably was like not as great because, you know, they would own so much of it. But from a perspective of a Star Wars fan that likes to play the Star Wars games, it is kind of sweet that so many of these games are now just available for us to enjoy. So this replaces, like I said, that emulated version. I'm assuming that one is either delisted now or is being delisted or something down the road, because this is just like a much better version of it, like a massive, I guess you would say, improvement in like every kind of way, right? Like the PS2 version, it was cool just to have this game available. I mean, I did a video of it back when, you know, not when it came out, but I did a video on it when I was first covering like PS5 stuff, as, I mean, it's a Star Wars game, right? So people can be excited about a Star Wars game. And it's just kind of neat to be here taking a look at such a markedly improved version of that experience. Like, this is kind of the way to go. And I always say, just a quick resolution bump up, knocking that frame rate to like 60 FPS. Stuff like that makes the biggest change up for these games. It just cleans them up and makes them a lot easier for the modern audience to consume. And I do wish that more games would, well, really receive support like this, because it is a shame that so many just kind of vanish due to like licensing and other problems and things. And yeah, it's just kind of neat because you get all these different creatures, and you know, it was tying into like the movie at the time, and so everything was kind of like reflective of that time period, and you know, the enemies and the creatures and some of the places you get to go. So if you're into the prequels, this is kind of a pretty sweet adventure, especially if you like Jango Fett. You know, he was a very fearsome character for a time. Not a long time, but for a time. It was that Jar Jar you could shoot at. It's kind of funny. This is like a shooting range here. Anyways, aside from your voice kind of like command information coming through the controller, it's all pretty interesting, and yeah, it kind of offers a lot for you to enjoy gameplay wise if you've never been able to play this kind of game. Like, it is a straight up single player kind of thing, but they do have some cool in-game like legacy type stuff. Like, you could do the shooting range here if you wanted to. I don't really care, so we're just gonna kind of press on, as to say, because we've got things to do. We got bounty hunting, you know how it is. And yeah, this is a straight story, like single player story thing. But as I mentioned, you literally can go into like the menus, and there's some extra little fun stuff that is present if you are into that. Okay, I think we're supposed to oh, no, right here, okay. I thought we were supposed to get into another room to be able to do this, but no, from right here we can do this. Yeah. There we go. Totally forgot. It happens. You know, it's been a while. Yeah, but no, oh, come on. It's kind of a cool adventure playing as, you know, Jango Fett, because you're like a bad guy, right? Like, you know, there's not too many games where you're sort of playing from the dark perspective. There's certainly quite a bit of them, but it is sort of cool that this one exists as it does, because it allows you to be like this sort of bad, cool character, and yeah, it's kind of a fun little hunt across the galaxy and visiting some cool places and doing some neat things, and yeah. He's a good guy despite the way he smells. Alright, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. Look, there's the giant monster thing that we were dealing with. Anyways, yeah, I think this guy, he's supposed to open the door for us in a sec here. But no, it's kind of cool. Like, whenever there is a new Star Wars game, or like a re-release of a Star Wars game, I always get really excited because, as I said, I remember when I was, you know, younger, we got so many Star Wars games. And then there was a certain point where we just, like, stopped getting them, and then nowadays we're starting to get, like, another sprinkling of them over time, which is nice. Okay, I can't remember what's supposed to trigger him, but eventually this guy will open this door for us. I'm wondering if I missed somebody to kill. Could very well be a thing. I might have missed somebody I'm supposed to kill, because then this guy will... Okay, here we go. Thanks, dude. It's kind of funny, you can chase him in here, too. That's a secret. I think you get a trophy for that one. Anyways, yeah, no, it's kind of cool. And then we go to, like, a cinematic. And Jango Fett's like... Oh, that's why he's such a cool dude. Dead or alive, Miko Merchant. Oh, and the loading is, like, instant nowadays, which is awesome. And I gotta say, like, I think it's a visual upgrade. They made some really nice improvements to like the visual like aesthetics of the world too. Like it is a nice bump up. Hey, look, there's some astromechs. Oh, is that you, 3PO or R2D? Not just kidding. More like R4 is the red one. But yeah, no, they actually did some really nice like quality of life improvements to like some of the environments. It is a nice touch up for this game. It looks a lot cleaner than the original version did. It is a big fidelity bump up, which I quite appreciate. And then, of course, just going into places and being like Jango Fett, which is kind of awesome because you're just like this feared bounty hunter and people. I mean, they try to take you out, but let's be real here. You're Jango Fett. You're pretty powerful and fearsome. I can definitely, you know, think of like people back in the day looking at this as a game to play, and they're like, "Oh, that's so cool! You're gonna be this like rugged bounty hunter and stuff." And yeah, even today for Star Wars games, you don't get fun things like this. You get more like, you know, they gotta have like certain characters that pop in, and you know, it's a lot harder for them to do fun side projects like this where you get like a, well, it wouldn't have been a side project for a team. This would have been a full release, but you're getting what I mean, like the development time and stuff like that. You've got to really, you know, fine tune characters, and it's not like the gaming of old where you were able to be a lot more like, oh, we'll just do like this project. It doesn't take very long to do, and yeah, that's not really much of a thing these days. It's pretty set. I also love how some of the citizens will be like, oh no, running away, and then they'll start shooting at you as soon as you like kind of let them go, and a little funny that they do that. Because it's a little harder to decipher between civilians and non-civilians. Hello there. And I love the reactions of the crowd. Like, the characters, they all move in, like, fluid ways. Yes, that's my victim down there. You feel like a fearsome bounty hunter, which is kind of awesome. And it's a pretty cool game, and like I said, like, it is story focused, so that's what you kind of get. And if you're expecting, like, a long-term kind of thing, it is kind of like a quick go in, blast some things, do the story, and yeah, that's what it is. But it's kind of a fun Star Wars adventure. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know. I think it's got some neat stuff to offer, and decent selection of levels and then abilities and stuff like that. And especially as you get your like tool set built up and you get access to like cooler and cooler supplies. I think it's supposed to be an area here where I get a fancy tool. Do I need that? No, I don't need that. Okay. Let's carry on. And it all flows pretty well too, especially with like the loading being so quick nowadays. You just go from like one section to the next, which is kind of nice. I think pacing wise, they do a pretty good job too of the levels kind of having a good flow to them. You don't feel like you're doing one thing for too long, and you get to, you know, experience a bunch of different stuff, which is kind of awesome, and some cool tools. And yeah, like Jango Fett, he's definitely got like a fun arsenal of like weapons you can unleash. And I love the over dramatic elements of like the characters dying and stuff. It's not, you know, it's very Star Wars like, right? You're using blasters and they like fall down all dramatically, but it's not like it's violent or anything. And yeah, they all handle that quite well. Down you go. I think in a sec here, we should be getting ourselves a fancy jetpack to use, which is pretty awesome. You know, if you're into that kind of thing. Jetpacking around and all that. I think jetpacking is pretty fun, but you know, what do I know? You guys want to die? Yeah, it's like a fun Star Wars game, right? You blast stuff and everything, you go about doing your missions, it's got the full cinematic elements. As I said, I miss projects like this in Star Wars. They're pretty fun. And in video games in general, getting more unique titles like this. It was so interesting. Just the tie-ins. Especially for Star Wars. We were so fortunate. Every time a new Star Wars movie was coming out, there'd be like so many things tying into it. It was awesome. I miss that era of the Star Wars, that's for sure. I still don't have a jet. Oh, maybe it's in this next area. I'm kind of just like thrown off. I feel like I should have had a jetpack by now. But I'm kind of wondering if I just haven't quite gone to that area yet. I'm Jango Fett, fearsome bounty hunter. Yeah, I just love how cool and crazy he looked. Probably, definitely. I mean, it was 100% just a cash into like the whole Boba Fett thing, but it is sort of funny. I guess if you haven't watched Episode 2, yeah, it is kind of funny how this character comes in and he's just, you know, it's a pretty, it's a brief situation. Oh, we better go deal with that. But now we've got a jetpack. Isn't that awesome? They sure don't make you wait long, do they? Which I think is awesome because, I mean, you want a jetpack round because the jetpacks are awesome, cool things. Yeah, 1 sec, we're supposed to go to an area. Am I supposed to go through that hole? I'm trying to think if I am supposed to go through that hole or not. I'm supposed to go around to another area, but the jetpack just opens things up a lot because it allows you to, like, you know, have elements of verticality to them, or to the game. But still, the environments, they're very tight environments. You go from, like, one section to the next section, and, you know, that's kind of the style of it. I just didn't go high enough. That's on me. So, I mean, I guess if this hasn't really sold you on it, it's a pretty cool experience. To be Jango Fett and blast things and stuff. Is there a Boba Fett game? That would be cool. I mean, I like Jango Fett, but, you know, Fett always had that extra mysterious edge that I think was a big advantage for the character. These guys. I love the variety, too. Like, there's a decent amount of alien things that you get to destroy. Like, alien things. Alien creatures you get to blast away on your objective there. Okay, well, I definitely didn't want to go down here. Probably wouldn't have happened had, you know, not locked onto that annoying ship thing. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. Guys are becoming problems. Good use of the environment, too, as we're kind of like regrowing through areas, but it's kind of a little different now that we can fly about. Game tricks were always fascinating back then. Seriously, like, the way they were able to achieve what they were able to achieve is just kind of interesting. Is this even... I don't know. I don't think we're actually supposed to go this way. I think we're supposed to go up on the top of the pipes in order to get around. But yeah, looks really nice on the PS5. Runs really good. Nice and smooth. Offers interesting gameplay. I mean, it's Star Wars Bounty Hunter. I guess the biggest thing is a lot of people wouldn't really necessarily be familiar with this this game because it's been so... I guess those guys didn't need to die. It's been around for so long. Oh, I definitely didn't need to go down there, that's for sure. Aha, now I can actually fly through. I can't believe this thing's actually getting away from me. How much further are you gonna fly away? I, like, failed to get this thing destroyed. I'm just trying to do my job. And be the most fearsome bounty hunter in the galaxy. Yeah, they really use the environment effectively here, don't they? You can't run away from Jango Fett forever. Or maybe you can. Where did that guy go? Okay, here we go. Just kidding. I always get my target. I don't know if I've done a really good job of showing off my other abilities and stuff, but you do actually have, like, a lot of, like, really cool tools. Like a whip thing and all that, and actually some really gnarly abilities to unleash. This is so awesome. Like I said, I miss Star Wars projects in this era. Being a bounty hunter in that. I think the biggest problem is there was almost too many to worry about, or to be able to even check out. And now I get to enjoy them all. Ha 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 ha. It is kind of magical in that regard. But yeah, Star Wars Bounty Hunter is pretty cool. They did a really good job touching this up. Making it run good, making it look good. If you're like returning, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with this. If you're new to it, it's kind of a neat blaster experience. It's not a bad playthrough. It's a pretty decent time. I will say that for sure. I don't think you should get too stuck doing anything. It's not too challenging, but a little bit of an edgy challenge, but it all kind of works out pretty well and provides a pretty fun experience in a galaxy far, far away.